Man of Steel has arrived as Mattel has sent over Wave 2 of their kids line DC action figures. And from the lineup I had available, this Superman was a natural choice to start with. Such an iconic superhero, Mattel would want to make a definitive statement with showing their first outing of Superman since renewing their license. This figure stays true to the form of Superman's original look, and that feels fitting, right as Mattel and DC are kicking this line off again. Mattel has pulled back to something classic here with the red and blue comic accurate suit. No armor plating, no stealth palette, just the iconic suit you'd draw from memory. We'll no doubt see different styles of iterations of Superman from Mattel down the line, but it seems to make sense they'd start with the classic comic look. And honestly, from a distance, I'm even getting Fleischer vibes off this figure too. So whilst Mattel has been serving fans well with their recent kids line DC action figure releases, it is important to see how they do with one of the most important superheroes in the DC portfolio, Superman. But let's take a look at what we have in hand. A simple, beautiful action figure that would tug on the heart of any fan who would see this on a peg. Playing into the nature of this being for kids, the packaging is colourful with a beautiful art rendering of Superman himself. We see the comic art of Superman baring teeth mid-action to contrast the calmer head sculpt with the heroic pose phase we find in this action figure. It's such a shame there's little to be done to protect the back card of these packagings because I'm such a fan of the artwork that Mattel's been doing lately with these action figures. We see Superman himself as he's captured in his iconic flying pose as he's looking down. The red and blue with the yellow details adds to the attractive colours any kids line should offer. We see Superman title to the bottom, Mattel logo to the right, as well as the DC logo to the left. The back is pretty much simple as we see the usual jargon. It also confirms we're going to get Stealth Suit Batman, Superman, Joe Christ Batman, and Green Lantern John Stewart in this wave. The side has a beautiful Superman logo. We can also see Action Comics going back to the old days. Mattel's tying this figure straight back to the character's first comic appearance before the cape was even read on the page. Out of the packaging we have a figure which screams classic superhero. Just from scanning the figure with an initial look, it feels like a good old action figure without even knowing it's Superman. Mattel has stated on their website that this 6.5 inch figure has 22 points of articulation for outstanding posing possibilities, whether you're recreating scenes or inventing bold new adventures for the Man of Steel. The classic blue and red suit makes the figure easily recognizable to fans, while the brushed tricot cape adds realism. Armor accessories in metallic two-piece girder and chain encourage creative storytelling or a dynamic display whether standing or flying. Superman is ready to take on supervillains that wreak havoc across the universe in their vile pursuit of crime and chaos. Superman looks defined and strong with shredded muscles packed tight within his blue outfit. The color combination is very eye-catching and adds to the overall appeal of this classic figure. It really does remind you whether you're a fan or not, Superman is a type of action figure you will always find in fans' collections, just because of how iconic he is. Along with this figure we find a pack of accessories similar to how we found with figures in Wave 1. Playing to the theme of Man of Steel, there are a collection of metallic accessories which include a twisted piece of girder, broken chain, and 2 armor plates covering both the front and the back, all of which we can take a closer look at later. Let's get close in on the head sculpt. Hairline slicked back, clean part, and the signature curl breaking loose over the forehead. It's a small detail, but it's the one detail that instantly reads Superman. The expression's calm, confident, not aggressive, jaws set, but there's no snarl here, no forced intensity. That fits the classic read we talked about earlier versus something like the artwork which shows full aggression. This sculpt's playing the more composed, in-control version of the character. Paint application's holding up well at this distance. Eyebrows are separated cleanly, no bleed in the skin tone, and the hair's just got enough gloss to sell it as a slicked rather than a flat painted plastic. Moving down to the torso now, this is a properly built chest, separated pec lines, real ab definition, nothing flat or soft about this sculpt. The S shield sits dead center and the color separation on it is clean, no bleed between the red and the yellow. The cape attaches on the neck through a slit in the fabric. It sits right over a peg in the back of the collar, which is a simple but effective way to keep it secured without a hard plastic clasp digging into the sculpt. We can see great muscular definition on the torso and the shredded muscle fibers on the arms. The shoulders and chest looks very well rounded and overall presents a solid upper body. Down to the legs now. Belt sits right on the hip line, red and yellow color matched to the rest of the suit, and you can see the buckle details holding up even at this scale. The thighs are chunky, properly proportioned to the upper body, no thin leg mismatch you sometimes get with figures where the torso and legs feel like they came from two different body sculpts. Hip joints look like they're built for a decent range, which matters if you want anything beyond a standing pose. The boots stay classic red, flat colour, no paint wear on the edges that I can see. Just a little bit of design on the boots, otherwise we're staying old school here. Let's look at the articulation starting from the head. So as you can see, the head can swivel to the right, to the left. Looking very heroic up close. Looks down and up. Of course, the side angle does better to show off the articulation, especially the tilt downwards. Moving on to the upper body, we can get the arm up 90 degrees. Looking good. Superman holding a straight arm. Single jointed elbow doing super work. Getting a good 90 degrees in the bicep pose. You got your swivel there as well. The wrist is also doing a decent rotation and a tilt. Overall articulation is good from upper body. It is limited, but pretty much what you would expect from a kid's lineup figure. And you have your steady waist rotation as well. And finally we are onto the legs. Very well sculpted. You can see Superman can kick to the side 90 degrees. Double jointed pinless knees. I think just a bit of a limitation due to the muscular calves, but it's all good. He's able to move his leg forward as well. Looking great in posing stance. The thigh cut swivel doing its thing. Boot cut swivel looks a bit limited. I think it's perhaps because of the design. Maybe just a bit rigid. But it's no biggie. It's fine. Looking great overall. And Superman's leg is able to extend fully forward. Perhaps a bit more than 90 degrees. Which looks great. Now let's talk about the accessories. You got a front chest piece. A back piece. Two shoulder pieces. All with the S shield embossed right into the armor. And then you have two more pieces, a break apart metal girder and a chain. At first glance you might think kryptonite resistant, which is the usual Superman weakness angle. But this isn't that story. This is a strength story. The girder's built to snap in half. The chain's built to break apart. Mattel's staging this as a Superman tearing through armor and the metal, not being trapped by it. And that's a nice callback. If you go all the way back to Action Comics #1, the very first cover, and what's Superman doing? He's lifting a car over his head. Same idea here, just modernized into a snap apart display accessories instead of a static sculpt. You can build him up in the armor for a powered display look, or go for the full classic suit. Just use the broken girder and chain as a strength moment. Either way, it's a nice bit of added value on top of what's already a solid figure. Overall, this is a fantastic figure. Mattel continues its great start to this line as it really looks to get the basics right. It goes without saying that this Superman should be on the list of every adult collector. You probably want to get two so you can keep one nice and mint. It's your classic Superman bringing a rush of nostalgia and it'd look great to display. But as I draw on to conclude this video, there is one thing I do want to do, and that is to compare this to my favourite Superman action figure, McFarlane's Dark Knight Returns Superman action figure. I know people say it looks really off, but you have to really understand the source material for this to understand why it looks like this. As McFarlane's time with this license draws to a close, I wanted to use these two figures to talk a bit about their legacy and what's coming next from Mattel. I've got a lot of McFarlane figures in my collection, and honestly, they did some things really well and some things not so well. Articulation was never my favourite part of their figures. It always felt a bit awkward. But on the whole, they looked great. There were a few figures where the execution fell off, though that could have easily come down to factors beyond McFarlane's control, such as production, tooling, whatever it might be. What Mattel's delivered so far is only building anticipation for the adult collector line. We're 3 weeks away from San Diego Comic-Con? I'd love to think that there may be some sort of a sneak peek there. Now looking at these two figures side by side, they're completely different, but it's worth remembering that they probably come down to deliberate creative choices and not just difference in quality. This Dark Knight Superman is built for adult collectors, Mattel's is aimed at kids. That's going to shape the whole approach to the style and finish. You can see it in the plastic too. Mattel's got a shinier finish compared to McFarlane's matte finish. Nothing wrong with either one, honestly I like both. And the cape is another good example. Fabric versus hard plastic is a deliberate design choice, not an accident. I'm not really a fan of hard plastic though, to be honest. I'm hoping Mattel keeps wired fabric capes as a staple once the adult collector line arrives. Scales are different too. Dark Knight Superman stands at 7 inches, Mattel's is 6.5. These feel like complete different products, which makes sense because they're serving two complete different audiences. Either way, I think we're heading into a genuinely exciting stretch. There's a lot Mattel can learn from McFarlane here, whilst also keeping up what they're doing well. Masters of the Universe and WWE being good examples of that. Here's hoping San Diego Comic-Con gives us a real good look as to what's coming next by Mattel. With all that being said, this comparison is a bit of a changing of the guard moment. This is Mattel's first real swing at Superman since taking the license back. And standing it next to McFarlane's is basically watching one era end and the next one begin. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe as I have more great content on the way. Till then, I'll see you next time.